Hi, this is Deborah Christofferson. I play Sue Blevins on 911. You're listening to Fandom Family Chats.
All right, welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm Eve.
I'm Tiffany.
And tonight we are talking about 911, and then a little later we will talk about this episode of 911 was called What's Your Fantasy? And it was pretty appropriately titled, don't you think?
It really was.
Yeah, like everyone in LA was trying to live out their fantasy, especially our, I don't know, lack of a better term, dumb couple.
Yeah, they wanted to live out the fantasy of, sex on top of a fire truck, which I didn't realize was a fantasy.
It's not a fire truck, it's a fire engine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
According to Bobby. I watch so many fire shows, I still am not sure what the difference is between a truck and an engine. But apparently, I don't know. I get how it could be a fantasy, maybe, in, some way. But that doesn't seem like the safest option.
No, not at all. Obviously, it wasn't for him, since he got thrown off.
Obviously, it wasn't for him, but like the truck started moving and they were on, and I was like, are they not concerned that the truck is now? And they were so excited about it. And then the sirens turned on. They were like, oh, this is so cool. I'm like, this is not cool. This is scary. You're going to fall off. And he did.
Yeah. But luckily, they got to live out another fantasy in the hospital.
But that lady, she was funny though, because they found him and then they were like, wait a minute. And she was just hiding up there. I'm like, they know you're there. Like, you don't need to hide. But they didn't have to go too far though. I mean, dressing up as a nurse and a patient,
yeah. That was pretty clever to think of, actually. Now that's a much better fantasy than on top of a fire truck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of fantasy.
No. I did like the next one though, the next rescue that they did. Fair.
That one did not go down the way that I thought it would.
No.
I thought it was gonna be like a jousting accident, like, I don't know, a sword to the stomach, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
And then she started swatting away at the bees. I was like, oh, not that a sword to the stomach is like any better, but I was like, this is not where I thought it was going. But
no, as soon as you see a Renaissance fair, like jousting accident or something is automatically what you think of.
Yeah, so they had to go a different direction, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was a little confused. Like, were all of the bees like already inside the armor when she went to put it on? Is that what happened?
That was my assumption, but maybe just the queen was stuck in there and the bees just somehow got, I don't know how they could get in when the paramedics had to cut her out of her. I was confused by that as well.
Yes, maybe the queen bee. It was just the queen bee who was in there, and then she put it on, and then the other bees just went all crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how beekeeping works, but that sounds
did
like
not look pleasant.
But
luckily she wasn't allergic to them though, because that could have been
much worse. Yeah, it could have been even worse than it was. Like, they still had to give her an EpiPen. Imagine if she'd been allergic. That would have been
no. She wouldn't have walked away from that one.
No, but they had to do a lot of work though to actually help her though, because they had to cut through the suit of armor, and obviously the bees kept attacking. And what was it they had to keep spraying on her? It looked like it was the stuff from a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Fire extinguisher, yes.
Yeah. Fire extinguisher, that's the word.
I'm like, water.
Yeah, they were spraying, they kept spraying the bees with something, but obviously they had to spray her because she was the one covered in bees. I was like, this poor girl. It's like, if I was her, I would never be going ever again.
No,
And
but
and she'd just gotten over, like, she was just trying to convince her sister that, girls can be heroes too, and she dressed up in this suit of armor. And I would have been like, nope, I don't want to be here. I'm good.
right. Yeah, that definitely would have turned me the opposite way. But she saw Hen and she looked up to Hen as a hero, which is awesome. Because we definitely, need all.
Yeah, well, if you're going to be on this show, apparently the world definitely needs more critics. Well, speaking of heroes, though, what about the
He
I
was
was
entertaining.
Yeah, I was so confused during that one because, well, first of all, I was getting I was getting a headache because he kept yelling, "Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it." Like, I probably have daydreams about murdering my boss too. And then he banged his head through, what was it? He banged his head through the glass, and he
Yep.
fell to his death. I was like, oh, that's fun, but then it didn't actually happen. It's like, oh, okay. It's another fantasy.
Yeah, I'm like, why does this guy keep killing him? Wait, why does he keep coming back to life? What is going on? Okay, I see this. He's imagining killing him over and over and over. I'm like, oh, that reminds me of some job. But the guy's face when he realized he wasn't daydreaming this.
Yeah, he was just
This is actually happening.
Yeah, because he was just standing there looking. I'm like, wait a minute, I think this is actually happening though. And then the whole office rushes in. He's like, oh my God, it's happening. This is I'm like, I think I killed my boss. Wait, why?
And then poor Athena, I mean, just trying to gather what is going through this guy's head. He just keeps saying he killed his boss and he imagined killing him all these different ways.
And she was even being nice about it at the beginning. Like, she was basically telling him to stop talking.
Right.
Or she'd have to arrest him. And then he kept going. Like, dude, take the hint. Stop saying words.
Yeah, he did not stop the words, but that was really entertaining.
Yeah, well, lucky for him, though, it ended up being what, a heart attack?
Yeah, he didn't kill his boss. So,
He didn't kill his boss, but in the end, I think it was time for him to go. If you're daydreaming about killing your boss, it's probably time to quit your job.
yeah, because, when something actually happens, you don't realize what's going on. You're just standing there staring at him lying on the ground. Although his letter of recommendation was funny. He's a real lifesaver.
Well, he's not wrong.
This is true. Yeah, that was a pretty busy day for the team after all those fun calls. I really enjoyed the day off for Maddie and Jim.
Well, poor Buck didn't get the day off.
No,
My
that was so
golly.
hilarious
I mean,
though.
Did that bring back memories of your kid's terrible twos though? Or is she still in her terrible fours now?
She is in the terrible force. She almost clogged the toilet with toilet paper today. So yes, this was a fun, flashback to like yesterday.
And at first Buck was like, no, she's not. Like, this isn't, because they warned her that she was in her terrible twos early because I guess she's not quite two.
Mhm.
And he was like, no, I'm sure she'll be fine. He's just so calm at the beginning. He's like, oh, that's okay. I'll pick that up. And then all of a sudden she's gone. I'm like, where did the baby go?
And you could just see when Maddie got there, it exhausted. He was just completely exhausted.
Oh, and can we talk for a second about the lazy baby proofing of the stairs? She just put pillows on it.
That's not gonna do anything.
Like, okay, Buck, yeah, that's cute that you think that's going to work. But granted, isn't this usually the reason why people, why parents ask sitters to come to their house, which is already baby proof? Because, I mean, Buck certainly is not.
No. That's probably the worst apartment to babysit in.
Dangerous stairs, lots of toilet paper.
I just love this scene of G just running in the background with a little bit of toilet paper, a little bit more toilet paper, handful of toilet paper.
It's like, wait a minute, we don't need all of that. I'm like, dude, she is not listening to you. And I'm thinking, how fast can this baby possibly be? Because Buck is spending the whole time chasing after her and he's not catching her.
Nope.
But I mean, we find out a little later, I guess she's kind of a little ninja because when it looks like Chim and Maddie eventually because they couldn't find a house. So I guess they had to settle on just getting G a new bed and putting it in the middle of the room. Like, the feng shui and all that. And, she just keep popping out of bed and popping up in like random places. Like, that is scary.
Right. She's like a little gopher.
Not because of safety, just it's creepy. It's like you turn around and there's the baby.
Yep. They are very quiet and sneaky. Yeah, I knew as soon as there was no door on that room, she's gonna hear everything. They have hearing like bats.
Like, ooh, mom and dad are sleeping. Time to wake up.
Yeah.
She's so cute though. The mama no sleep. Like, yes, we see that.
The ending scene of them was cute though, with everybody in the bed together. They were cute.
Oh, yeah, that was cute.
They definitely need a bigger place though.
Yeah, well, yeah, hopefully that happens soon because I don't know, I guess it's only so long that they can get away with all sleeping in the same bed. Without having to get a California king or something. I don't know.
This is true. Yeah, having a bigger bed is definitely helpful.
But we got to see Christopher. Speaking of cute kiddos.
He's so cute. All dressed up for his dance. He's so handsome.
His little crush. And we got to see Carla. Now Carla, she's the same Carla from like the very beginning, like when she was helping what's her name? Gosh. The 911 Abby, yeah. That's the same one, right? Okay,
Yeah.
for some reason I didn't remember her name being Carla, but
I'm surprised she's still around. I mean, that was season 1.
yeah. I always loved her. I'm glad she's still around. We
Yeah.
don't see her too much, but I mean, she still pops up every once in a while.
Yes, it's nice when we do get to see her.
But that was so cute. Christopher was like, he was worried about his suit. He was like, is it too small? I'm like, but he already looked like he was swimming in it. So I'm not sure why that was a concern. But
yeah. No, not too small.
Nope, not too small. Too big. A little too big, actually.
I really liked when Athena and Hen were playing the lotto together because Bobby uses the kids' birthdays and what is it, the year that Minnesota won a game.
Yeah, I was like,
Not Athena's birthday.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. The first two go together, great. But like, what about your wife's birthday? Is that not, lucky?
Apparently not.
I love their conversation too about what they would buy. And Athena was just like, I donate it all. And I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. I would probably donate some too. But don't you want to like keep, a little for yourself? Get yourself something nice?
I would. I mean, yeah, I would definitely donate some, but I still want some.
Yeah,
But
I
she said she get a pool. Like, really,
yeah,
that's all
she
you
said she
get?
always wanted a pool. So she'll get herself a pool and donate the rest of it.
Ooh, go all out there.
Fancy.
Oh, I did like their cookout that they had though, because we got to see Darius.
Okay, so Darius, was he on before? Because I didn't remember him.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
remember
yeah, I didn't
when,
remember him,
but
but
he was. Yes, I do remember him. I don't remember
I
who he
like
is.
him. I just didn't remember him. I was like, ooh, he's charming and good looking. I hope he sticks around.
Well, May seems to really like him. It seems
Yeah,
like yeah, I believe they were just friends. Last time we saw them. Now they seem like they're maybe
more than friends.
friendlier.
They seem more than friends at the very end there.
They're
But
cute
I don't know.
together.
He had me really worried though. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he needs some better roommates for sure.
So I think that was the place he was he was crashing at a friend's place or something. And then the friend had like the crazy roommate who he seemed like weird and sketchy from the
Yeah,
beginning.
there's definitely something
But
off right
holy
away.
no, something was way off. Holy cow, that notebook. I was like, he's not just crazy, he's
Mhm.
scary, terrifying. Golly, what was it? Like the feminist agenda?
Yeah,
And he was going to escape to Mexico or something.
yes.
I don't know. There's a whole bunch of crazy. I couldn't follow all of it because there's a whole lot of
Yeah, is that
crazy.
it's mostly just scrambled crazy.
Holy moly. And well, luckily, May found it,
Mhm.
stole it, or I guess not too lucky because that kind of put Darius in danger. So I don't know.
It's true. But it worked out in the end. Darius might need a little therapy, but he's okay.
Well, thanks to May. I mean, that was so cool how they were like they got the negotiators there and they were like, well, I'd rather it be someone who's trained. And then Athena's like, oh, don't worry, we've got that already. And there's May, cool as a cucumber, back in action. I'm like, wow, she's acting real calm. It's like, I know that she's good at this, that, this was her job for, 2-3 years or something, but it's like, wow, she's cool and calm. And even with, her friend in danger, but oh,
Yeah,
I don't know. Luckily that worked out and Crazy Eric is no more.
yeah, he's where he belongs, definitely. I think she should pursue that career, honestly, like working hostage negotiations or something. She'd be wonderful at something like that.
And she seems to like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary stuff, obviously, but she seems good at it and seems to like
I
it.
mean, she was like calm the whole time, just natural. It came so natural to her. My anxiety, I would be freaking out. I couldn't even do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to talk on the phone.
Mm, mm-mm. Oh, we have to wait 2 more weeks, don't we, for the next one?
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Wait, didn't we just have a break? Why are we having another break? Oh, Thanksgiving. Okay, that makes sense.
And then I guess it'll be the fall finale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like a pretty intense fall finale, a dust storm,
Mm-mm.
which they've done on Lone Star, I believe, but I guess they have to have one on LA now too. So
Does LA get dust storms?
we get haboobs here in Arizona,
You what?
maybe in southern haboobs, dust storms.
Okay.
It's a real word, I promise. um, I mean, I guess maybe Southern California, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So it looked like a lot of different things happening. There was a dust storm, a dog bringing in a severed hand. So that sounds pretty, I don't know, gruesome.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then, oh, and then there was another girl who apparently showed up at the fire station and she's naked.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't like it when it's a whole different like hodgepodge of like different scenes pieced together. I'm like, what the heck episode is this going to
I
be?
can't make sense out of any of this.
So I don't know. I guess we will find out next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Stupid Thanksgiving. So that's it for 911. And we're going to get ready to move into the resident. And Maureen is going to join us for that. Yay! Maureen is ready to talk about resident. And I think what Maureen would like to talk about now is her favorite character.
I didn't hate Cade this week.
I feel like that's an improvement.
It is.
Because you've hated for a while and now she's moved up to I don't hate her. So
I'm seeing more
She's
of her
moving up in
away
the-
from Conrad romantically, and that's always boosting her in my esteem. The more she's away from Conrad romantically, the more I like her.
I'm still not buying her and Conrad
No,
together.
it's weird.
It's just such an awkward and weird looking couple.
It feels so forced.
And I'm sorry. He invites you on a date night, and the first thing you can say is, "Did you find a sitter?" Have you met this kid yet outside of that one time in the hospital? Have you done anything with his child at all? It's frustrating because he's
Yeah, I
still
mean,
with her.
And the fact that we haven't seen her with Gigi at all, I mean, I don't know if that's on purpose, but I'm sitting here thinking, why do you care if she has a sitter? I mean, you've never spent more than 2 seconds with her.
Right.
He's
It could be
managed to
one
be away
thing
from her
if
all
he
the
was
time.
keeping her away, while they date and get to know each other more, but you've heard him invite her to do multiple
Yeah.
things with him and Gigi, and she always has excuses. Or
And
something
every
always comes up.
time she shows up at like what, 11 p.m. Oh no, she's in bed already. It's like
How did that happen?
she's 4 years old. Yes, she's in bed already.
Maybe part of it's purposeful on her part because she's always had to prepare to run. So part of her is still preparing to run. So she doesn't want to get attached. But good job on you because you're not lasting with Conrad. So thank you for not letting Gigi get attached to you because that would be hard to watch the little girl lose you if she got attached to you. But stop it. Like just walk away already. We're done with this. But I will give it to her that she looked fan-frickin-tastic when she walked into the banquet. Like she looked amazing.
She did.
So good. I feel like I need to make up for all the times I like wanted this character to die.
Now you need to sing her praises.
At least that one I can honestly say because she did look great. And there's just a lot of little things that happen where Conrad was making eyes at Billy and Yamada, Dr. Yamada, which they seemed awfully cozy. I mean, last week it was want to go out for coffee, and this week when they're at a banquet together and he's whispering in her ear, like that seemed to move very fast.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was really confused because I was like, wait a minute, wasn't it just last episode where he asked her for coffee, or did I miss like a couple episodes in between?
I feel like the resident does frequent time jumps without mentioning the time jumps, and like this is like 4 months down the road. Okay.
I don't like that. They need to stop.
Right? It makes things like Billy and Yamada make sense. But then you look at Cade and Gigi and Conrad like, okay, if we've jumped that far, why is this still happening? So we have another couple this week, Leela and Devin, who sort of cement themselves as permanents. And, we've kind of been on the fence about them, not about them relationally, but, are they going to have kids? Will they not have kids? Will Devin be sad? Will he be happy? Kind of back and forth. But this week, blessedly, the writers are like, no, this is it now, because they had that conversation about after Kit and Bell, like, oh, you're not my driver's seat, my passenger seat, whatever, in life and in the car. Ha ha. But it was a cheesy joke that they put in there, but I think they did it to put us out of our misery. Like, okay, this couple's good, they're solid, they're staying, no more second guessing, this is what it is. And Marshall was back.
Yay, I was so excited to see him. I was like, well, I couldn't remember his name at first, but I was still so excited to see him. I was like, ooh, it's
him. It's that guy.
It's Landry's dad.
Yes. That's why I'm always excited to see him. When he first came on the scene, I was in the middle of binging. What is that show? Friday Night Lights. Oh my gosh. That's where my love affair with Taylor Kitsch started. I couldn't remember the name of it.
The Taylor Kitsch Show.
That's what it is, man. I was binge watching Friday Night Lights when Marshall first appeared, so I connected the dot right away. But I've since forgotten that was my connection. So I was like, Marshall, Gilmore. No, not Gilmore Girls. Like every time. But I actually clapped when he came back. And I think the only downside to seeing Marshall was that it brought one of the other big storylines of this episode to the forefront. And that was Belle's, not really, it wasn't a trial, it was his deposition.
That was, what a way to serve somebody.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, could they really not wait until he was off the stage? Like, did it have to be?
Well, not when the goal was humiliation.
Well, thankfully, Conrad came and tried to tackle him.
In the notes that I took, I wrote, Conrad sort of tackled the guy.
He chased the guy and tripped and then bumped into him.
He aggressively hugged him for a second and then just let go. It was the most awkward thing.
Even to chase after him. I'm like, what just I thought I missed something. I was like, did I blink and just miss a whole storyline? Like, what is going on?
Conrad hasn't seen his friend in a really long time.
He was really excited about seeing his friend.
I did rewind it because I was like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. I had to go back and watch it like 3 times because I'm like, no, I'm still missing something. I'm like, nope, I guess that's all there is.
That's it. And then when the papers fell, Conrad was like, what? And then just stood there like, okay, all right, we'll go with this. We'll ride this out. Because at first when he had that look on his face and he went charging, he was like, yes. And then that was where it ended. Okay. Weird.
Can you guys refresh my memory? Who was the patient?
That was Claire from last week. They were discussing Claire's death. She was the one from England.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, I remember her.
Died of sepsis, I think.
Yeah, okay, I remember now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they thought it was kidney stones, and then Leela took her back. It was Leela and Devin. Belle wasn't even involved in that first one, I don't think. I don't remember him being involved in the first one. We were talking about this in the last podcast. There were things about that we couldn't really remember. Like they made it seem like Belle was super heavily involved the whole time, but we didn't remember him being involved until the second surgery. So I don't know. They made it seem in this episode too like he was involved the whole time, and I don't remember that. But
I remember
cancer treatment patient, so my memory shouldn't be relied on.
I remember Devin and Leela being heavily involved, but I don't remember. Obviously, Belle had to be really heavily involved in order to be deposed on it. But
well, he was the one who was the lead surgeon when she died on his table.
Oh, right. So,
and they're deposing him because the governor sent this surgical tech to go expose Belle for, well, humiliate him really is what he wanted to do. He doesn't really care about doing good work. He just wants to humiliate Belle. And I think they got advice. Kit and Belle had to sit down with their lawyers, with the hospital lawyers, and get advice. And they warned him that this lawyer Costigan, oh my gosh, I wanted to punch him in the face so many times in this episode. He's got this smug look, and I did not like it. I didn't like it. But he called him not a defense lawyer and not a normal malpractice suit, that he's a loose cannon.
I mean, he kind of was. I mean, season 1 Belle was a bit of a loose cannon.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was calling the lawyer a loose cannon.
Oh, the lawyer, yeah.
Costigan is the lawyer for the governor, and the hospital's lawyers were calling him a loose cannon, saying that, he had private investigators. And the way he said it, because Belle's not an idiot, Belle kind of picked up on that there's something deeper, and he said he's got PIs who are very well connected, and how else did he describe him? He said very well connected and very scary or something like that. So you knew they were going to dig deep.
I don't know. This whole thing just made me so mad. The whole time I was like, leave Belle alone.
He looked a little too happy when Leela gave him, because Leela did great. She was worried she wasn't, but she did great the whole time. And when she got the downside is when she was getting really passionate for Belle and like really staking her ground with it was when she said, I am positive without the surgery, she would have died. This surgery was the only way to save her. And the lawyer got like a cheese eating grin on his face because he heard the words, surgery should have saved her, yet it killed her. And that's where he's going to run with that. So even Leela, when that was her fear, was she was going to say the wrong thing and had the lawyer use it against Belle. And that's exactly what happened. She said the right thing, but in a way that it's going to be used against Belle. And even Devin, like, I was so surprised. I forgot that we called him Hodad. I forgot.
Well, I remembered that he had a nickname, that he had like this name at the very beginning of the series, but I was like, Hodad? I don't remember that being. Like, I didn't remember it being Hodad, but then the more they said it, the more I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's ringing a bell.
I remember we would podcast with Josh Josh is still part of our podcast, by the way. People, you haven't heard him and Bethany in a while, but that's because they have other obligations that they're going through. They're still a part of our podcast. But when last year, when we would do the podcast with Josh, like we would always joke about Hodad because that's what Belle was originally known as. And even the look on Devin's face, like he clearly forgot about that too. Because it's been so long since he's been that.
Mm-hmm.
And even Devin said, that's not who he is anymore. But then the lawyer pounced on that too. He's like, oh, but they did.
But see, this is the thing about those kinds of slimy lawyers is no matter what you say, you can say the right thing, but they will twist your words around just to fit whatever story they're trying to sell. So it really didn't matter.
No.
It wouldn't have mattered in the end what they walked in and said. The lawyer would have found a way to twist it. So it was really a lose-lose situation.
Especially when we realize, I mean, because Kit kind of from the beginning was like, this is just the governor out to get you. This is the governor out to get you. And Belle was like, no, that's not what it is. But when you realize how, like, we obviously knew, the viewers knew because we were given warning that this is what's happening. We were told this beforehand and Bella just didn't know. But when you see the extent of how far this governor wanted to go and all that he wanted, this lawyer doesn't give a crap about how good Bella is at his job. He doesn't care how many lives Bella is saving. He doesn't care about how many changes he's made positively to correct mistakes and to be a better human being. He doesn't care. All he wants is to take him down. That's it.
So, and it's not about, poor Claire who lost her life. It's about the governor just, finding his jollies and ruining Belle's life.
Yeah. And Belle, he's not an idiot. He figured out as soon as he saw that surgical tech leaving that deposition room, figured out immediately he was the plant. The look on Belle's face was so ticked off. And I really hope we see him do something to that surgeon. Like, now, I don't want him to like beat him up. That's not what I mean. Man, I get dark on these. I don't want to see him get harmed. I want to see this guy get what he deserves, though.
We want justice served.
It wasn't better.
Yes. We don't necessarily want him beat up. We just want justice to be served.
Exactly. Just the right thing to happen to this guy. And the right thing shouldn't be happy and fuzzy. That's all. It should be harsh and demanding. And that's when he, and I think Jessica's going to be involved in it. We talked about that a little bit, how we thought Jessica might be part of that and how she might be the new whistleblower. We've mentioned that in the past. I think this is an opportunity for them to do that. And if they don't, I think it's a mistake because Jessica needs to be more involved. She used to be really involved. We like Jessica and she's the one who works with Belle. And now that Belle knows he was the plant, he's going to figure out, okay, something happened there. And so Jessica pulls him out of the deposition for an emergency surgery. And even in that, the lawyer's like, emergency surgery can wait. We're in the middle of a very important deposition. So even though it's not really happening, you don't know it's not really happening. Someone could die and that's less important than your deposition.
Like, do you understand the definition of emergency?
Yes.
I think they do. And apparently their deposition was a big emergency, more so than, somebody's life.
I really enjoyed seeing Kit go in to talk to the governor.
Yes.
That was very, what's the word I'm looking for? It was nice to see her take the initiative to do something to try and help Belle.
Yeah, because they wouldn't settle. She wanted to settle, not because she didn't believe him, not because she thought she had to, but because she was worried about his MS flare-ups. So and they refused because they wanted in court. But it was nice to see her fighting like that, though. I agree.
And, you know, she got the truth out of him, what he really wanted, which, you know, she was right.
How badly did you guys wish she was recording that conversation?
Right? I thought she was.
Me too.
Like, oh man,
I
that's
was-
so smart. Oh, wait.
I was waiting for her to pull out the recorder or like just walk out and like, you know, be like, okay, I got it. Or something like that. I'm like,
Yes.
"Wait, you didn't get anything? Come on.
Especially when she met Belle in her office afterwards. I was like, oh, this is it. She's going to show him she's got it. She's going to show him right now. And then she didn't. I'm like, really? Like, how did you not prepare for that? I've recorded meetings that had less importance than that. Like, how did you not do that?
And Kit is not a stupid woman. Like, I don't
No.
understand how that's not a thing, why they couldn't just have had her record that. Because, I mean, he really wants to ruin Belle's life. Like, it's not enough
Yeah.
just to get him fired. Like, he wants him to lose his
License.
medical license too. I'm like, isn't getting him fired enough?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he even said, he embarrassed me. Really? That's all this is about?
Oh,
You
poor baby.
full-grown adult man who was voted in as governor of Georgia. You want to attack this guy because he embarrassed you? Ruin his I mean, that's like an insanely psychopathic ego problem.
I think I have a cute little social story about that I've used with my kindergartners. But seriously, like, someone embarrassed him and now he wants to destroy this man's entire life. It's like, let it go, man.
And that's when Kit said something, I'm going to paraphrase, but she said, because I love it so much, she said something along the lines of, your mistake is thinking Belle is like you. She didn't say this, but this is what she meant. He's not weak like you're weak. You're weak and you're useless and you know you're useless. And that's why you're attacking a man as strong as Belle. And even in the end, when she said, this is my favorite part, I actually wrote it down in my personal notes when I was taking notes on the show. She said, I cannot wait until this lawsuit is thrown out and I will be on the steps loudly proclaiming how these nuisance malpractice lawsuits are driving up the cost of healthcare, because I think that's the winning story. Like, dropping the mic as she walks out.
And
Good
she
performance.
recorded nothing.
It was such a great performance. And then that. But that's okay, because they're gonna meet it head on and they're gonna conquer this, they're gonna tackle this. They've had big bads before. Of course, they didn't play out in a courtroom. And we were right when we said that all he really wanted was Belle's reputation ruined. It wasn't about this patient, it wasn't about justice, it was about seeing him ruined. And unfortunately, bringing up Hodad, saying that to a jury and have it be publicized, it's going to impact his career, even if he's better now, even if he's good. No one wants someone who was once called the hands of death and destruction operating on them. As much as we love him and we can see it, the people coming into this hospital haven't been watching him grow over the past because they did a 3-year time jump over the past, was it, what, 9 years?
9 years?
6 + 3 is 9. Yes. Okay. So 9 years. Why was that math hard? It was so hard. So they haven't watched him grow for 9 years. They're just going to see these stories and they're going to see it spun in the way that the governor wants it spun. And that's all they need. They don't even need to win. Marshall said a loss for him is a loss for this hospital, but he doesn't need to lose. He just needs this phrase to get out to the public. That's all he needs. He could win the lawsuit and this phrase would still damage his reputation.
Yeah, because like we said earlier, he doesn't care about the governor doesn't care about the lawsuit. He just cares about ruining this man's life. And this lawsuit is just a way to get that done.
Yeah. The good thing is now they know exactly how weak this governor is and they can exploit it. They can squeeze him and they'll win.
I think this is probably my least favorite governor, and he's not even a real governor. Right. He's just a character.
Well, it would be easy to get caught up in just this too, because this is a bad storyline. We're attached to this man, to Belle, not the governor, obviously. He's one of our people, But this week also brought a very real situation to the forefront, and it showed us teens ODing on fentanyl. And unfortunately, that's a very real situation in our reality as well as this TV show.
Isn't that a story that's being brought to the forefront on Chicago PD also?
Mm-hmm. And Med,
So
I think.
And Med by association, but it's a real thing, and it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
So this kid that they brought in, what was he, 13 years old?
Mm-hmm. Malik. Yep.
I was surprised when they said 13 because his friend who's with them, I was like, what is she, 8?
I know, she looks so much younger than he
so
did.
She was so tiny. She was so tiny and petite. I was like, she's 13, really? Yeah, she was terrified too, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it was clear. I didn't really get the connection, but was it made clear how he, and then eventually we find out later, so many other kids got access to this fentanyl? Was it like some kind of gathering where they were just...
Well, Malik and his
passing
friend
around?
took them from Amir was the brother who had them. Malik took
Yeah.
one for him and one for Tally. Tally didn't take hers. That's why she still had the pill, because she didn't want to take it. So Malik took his, and they were able to find out it was fentanyl. The way that we find this wasn't confirmed with Amir, but the fact that it wasn't confirmed by Amir means this is likely how it happened, that he was prescribed pain medicine. I don't know if he was prescribed fentanyl because the way they said it, but he was prescribed it by a doctor after a football injury. And then they said when he ran out, he must have gone to the streets to try to find it. But then Billy said, and fentanyl is so cheap, they cut it with other drugs. So I don't know that he was prescribed fentanyl, or if he went for like oxycodone, and then it was laced with fentanyl, is what I think it was.
Yeah.
But they didn't expressly say that. That's just what I felt, because they said that everything is laced with fentanyl because it's so cheap. So that's just what they said. And Amir, we have to assume that Amir was handing it out to his buddies, because he actually might have been selling them, because he had when Ian asked, Conrad said that Amir had the rest of the pills in his pocket when they found him passed out. So he had a baggie of pills in his pocket.
Yeah,
It was quite a few kids. Yeah, like it was Amir who was passed out, and then that other kid who was gone by the time Conrad got there.
Robert died.
And then there was a fourth one.
We don't ever hear anything beyond we're taking him to scans, and then we don't hear about him again. So I'm going to assume he didn't die.
Like what happens after they take someone to scans? Like they take them to scans and they never come back.
That's the way it works in public hospitals, apparently. But we don't even learn his name. We know Robert died. We know Amir is the brother who had the pills. Malik is the little brother who took the pill, and Tally is the friend. But we don't know the name of the other kid who may or may not have survived. And Amir fell down steps too. When he OD'd, he fell down concrete steps. And that's why his was way worse than the others.
Yeah,
overdosing on fentanyl and falling down concrete steps are two very different, big things, where even having one of those happen to you is going to be a big deal. And he had both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a
bad for the parents.
Bad day.
Oh my gosh, right?
Oh gosh. I was waiting for those parents to show up. Like the whole time I was like, where are the parents?
They did show up.
Yeah, they showed up like towards the end, but throughout the episode, I was like, where are the parents?
Mm-hmm. Because they found Amir by a tracking app on Malik's phone. And when it pulled up, it did show, it said mom, dad, Amir, me, or something like that. There's 4 names there, but mom and dad were the top 2. So, I mean, they could have called him right there, but I think their focus was getting to Amir first. And maybe they didn't think about the rest of it until after they got him in the hospital. I think probably once they got there, because Malik was turning around, they were probably outside the waiting room with their son who was in a brain surgery. But you'd think that at least stop by Malik's room and be like, hey, you okay? You good? And then move on. That was a little weird.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I was like, don't you want to check in on your other kid who's awake and realizes that you're there?
Billy, did her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sh- I love watching Billy in the operating
I
room.
don't.
She's always just so great at what she does.
She doesn't stop.
No. Yeah, I love watching her. I'm going to see Dr. Chu again.
That was nice. There was, because they didn't have to say his name, but they did.
Mhm.
They had Dr. Chu check and they made sure to say his name, and then he got right up to the camera. I'm like, yeah, there he is. I feel like we haven't seen him in a long time in the operating room, which is weird since there's an operation every week. Like, where are our people?
Like, don't they need doctors? Lots of things happen on this show.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we
not
haven't
like
gotten
you.
hardly any Nolan at all this season.
No.
Oh my gosh, I just realized that. Now I'm real sad.
I was thinking about that as I was taking notes, because we see two different anesthesiologists in this episode, but we don't see Dr. Nolan once all season. Oh, we saw him once maybe, but that was it. But even Billy, for as good as she is, and AJ, because AJ said, you handle the brain, I'll handle the lungs, and kind of like, haha. But even after all that, they still said it was a wait and see case, because they can't. He wasn't awake. It's not like, oh, okay, we fixed your brain, now we'll wake you up. He was still out at the end of the episode. He was still out. So they had no way to know how long he was out. Even that when Conrad found him on those steps, they had no idea how long he had been out. And they don't know how long he was out after that necessarily, like how long he was deprived of oxygen exactly. So they don't know what's his state is going to be, what condition his brain will even be in. They don't know anything yet. So they have to wait and see if he'll improve, if he'll get worse. They have no idea.
Yeah, I agree with Billy. Those are the worst cases.
Mm-hmm. And it was a really hard scene to watch this 13-year-old go. And that's the other thing too. Like, we see Billy and AJ talking to the parents, but the only people we see in the room having a meltdown is Malik and Tally. They go in there with Amir, and Conrad is watching. And it's clearly a hard scene for Conrad to see, but Malik is just overwhelmed with grief at seeing his brother on all those tubes, clearly not doing anything on his own, just overwhelmed, which overwhelmed Conrad. And then
It's rough seeing anyone like that, especially if you're only 13 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you imagine carrying that weight on your shoulders? I still can't get over the difference in appearance of what you would assume the ages are between Malik and Tally, though, because Malik also didn't look 13.
Yeah, Tally didn't look 13 because she looked like she was 8, but then Malik didn't look 13 because he looked more like
18?
15, 16.
The good thing to come out of this, though, was that talk in the lounge. I don't know if it was on a call room or a physician's lounge, but it was AJ, Billy, and Conrad. I really liked hearing Conrad describe parenting and what it does, because you could see that all this season. You could see how parenting has changed him as a doctor, the things he reacts to, the things he wouldn't do. The kid who, when the other OD, they're like, we don't know how long he's been without oxygen. He's like, that's okay, we're gonna put him on there anyway. Then you think back to first season Conrad, when that person was Devin's first person he saved, and she was on the, remember, she was a vegetative state, and Conrad went to shut off her machine. So we went from that to, no, we're going to do whatever it takes to save this kid. So you can see how parenting has changed him as a doctor for the better. I think he even said it made him a better doctor. But AJ, after he's saying, I've never been more scared in my life. Everything is a life or death. Everything looks worse. Everything is harder. And AJ just looks at him and says, man, you're not selling me on this whole parenting thing.
I wasn't trying to sell you.
He's like, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But boy, am I glad I don't have twins. And even Billy, I mean, she's not a parent, but I think she does help co-parent Gigi. I would say she co-parents Gigi with Conrad, because those are her two main people. So she's not a parent, but she was in there relishing in the ease of that moment. And she was relishing in just the joy that was present in that room, and just watching them all three of them laugh together after the day they had. And interestingly enough, when Cade and Conrad canceled their date, he was like, no, I want to go. It's okay. I'd rather go home and just hold Gigi. He went to the lounge where Billy was and had free light moments with Billy instead of with Cade.
Well, I'm not sad about that.
I feel like it's worth pointing out.
I like how we get the other side of the story as well. not
Mhm.
the fentanyl story, the drug story. You get it not just from the patient, but now we also get to see the story from the doctor's side through the addiction, through Dr. Ian.
Mhm. And I've struggled with Dr. Ian because like I want to despise him because of, he's a pediatric surgeon. You are caring for little kids who don't deserve to have an unsure hand operating on them. Certainly not when you're hiding it. And so like I've been angry at him for that. But as a previous addict, I understand exactly where he's at mentally. I understand exactly what he's going through. So it's hard for me to fully hate him. It's hard for me to fully be angry at him because I understand addiction and I know what it's like. And this is the first time though. And I think the problem was that he never seemed remorseful before. He never seemed sad about it. He kind of seemed shamed that someone thought he was doing it, but that was the extent. This week, we actually see him disgusted with himself over it. Like when he goes into, because he runs into Cade and he's like, oh, not surgery related. I'll go check with Billy and AJ, see if there's surgery. But he didn't go to them. He went to Conrad's room where this boy was. And it's clear he wants the fentanyl. It's clear he wants those drugs because they have the music going. They zero in on the bag and then Ian's face and his reaction. But I think the fact that it was a 13-year-old boy who took this, and that's how it starts. It starts with one pill, taking one hit, doing one thing just to see how it is. That's how addiction starts. And when he said he was so disgusted when he left that room, he said, this boy has probably had nothing stronger than an aspirin. Can't call it an OD. It was poisoned. He was so angry. He clearly didn't want to have the drugs. That's my take. Did you guys agree with that? Did you think that it seemed like he didn't want it this episode?
It seemed to me like he felt he needed it, but he didn't want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And, he sneaks into the operating room afterwards and he goes into Dr. Lee's cart, she's the nighttime anesthesiologist. Why was she there? She's supposed to be the overnight. Like, you're not giving us our regular people, but then you're also changing what the storylines were from before. She is not the daytime anesthesiologist. That is Dr. Chu.
They're giving us the nighttime anesthesiologist, but not Dr. Nolan.
Exactly. Like, why? But I did like how she addressed it. She let him know, basically, I know what you're doing. And I've seen this before. It has ruined people. And what was interesting, she said, stole from my cart and it ruined her entire career. She's telling him in no uncertain terms, dude, I have no problems reporting you. If something's stolen, I'm going to report you. I get you're an addict. I get you need help, but I will report you. So I wonder how that's going to play out in the end. But I think that breaks Ian further. And not because, I don't want to get caught. I think that he really, in this episode, is the first time we really see him not want to take this. But he needs it because he's this addict. And I was impressed when he called Cade into his office. I was really confused. Like, I will be honest here. I did not realize it was Cade that he called. I was trying to figure out, okay, who would he call to his office? I didn't think there was anyone but Cade he could call. But I thought, that doesn't make sense. Why would he call her? Because she's clearly not going to help him get something. And I thought he was calling someone to get help getting medication. And though he tried that with her, I don't think that's why he called her in there.
I mean, technically, he did try.
But I don't think that's why he called her in there. I really think that he needed to tell someone about this addiction. And he knew that if he did not come out with it, he was going to be stuck here. So I think he made a snap decision of, I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to do this before I have a chance to rationalize and say I shouldn't do this. I'm going to tell her to come here. And then I'm in a vulnerable state because he was shaking. They were doing the filming where, his vision is like weird. They do that when he's going through an episode. So I think that they were trying to make it seem like he's very vulnerable right now. And he's in a place where he's starting to come on withdrawals. So he's vulnerable and he's going to spit it out. So he told her everything, like everything, starting with, start as a regular prescription. Then I thought I should manage my own care. now it come to my regimen works. It works. I can do this. Dr. Bell does this and he needs miracles. So it was, and she even said, you need to stop rationalizing. He's like, I know. And then asked her to write a prescription. She said, I won't do that. And he's like, I know. So it's watching this battle play out in that office between his addiction and what he really wants, which is to be set free from this addiction. It was a really, really nice insight into Dr. Ian to where we don't have to hate him anymore. At least I don't.
Yeah, I always wanted to love him because, it's Andrew McCarthy, and I can't hate Andrew McCarthy. But then once this whole addiction thing started, I was like, oh man, are they going to make me not love him? Because I don't like this. But I could definitely see that it was an internal struggle. Like he definitely wants out of this addiction.
Mhm.
But there was that struggle of, does out mean someone gets me help, or does out mean that I get another fix?
Mm-hmm.
He still
But-
didn't look fully sold on going to rehab.
But
To
it's
me.
because he's scared.
Well, he wanted to go home for his toothbrush.
Did he? Did he though?
But addicts will, I think that when you get to that point that he's at, I think he genuinely hates that he needs this, that he needs these pills and these medications. I think he genuinely hates it. And he genuinely realizes how bad it's gotten, and he genuinely wants help, but I think he's afraid of what help means. I think that's what's holding him back. I think there is still a part of him that thinks, if I could just keep doing my same regimen, I'll be totally fine. I have it under control. There's certainly a part of him, I think, that still thinks that. But for him to look at her and say, Cade, I'm scared, shows you that he's ready to go through this. But any addict is going to be afraid, because he's not just saying, I'm scared to go to rehab. He's saying, I'm scared it's going to get out. I'm scared everything I've worked my entire life for is going to be gone. I'm scared that I'm never going to be able to save a life again. I'm scared of what these withdrawals will be, because I've been here before. And I know what withdrawal is, and it's going to be painful and sick. And that's kind of why no addict ever wants to come down, because they are afraid of the withdrawals. They're afraid of what that means to their minds and their body. And they don't want to go through that again. So I think it'll be good. I think Cade driving him there, making sure he gets there, I think Cade will ensure he stays. But I think whether or not he comes out of this is going to depend on if he's willing to give up his status or not. Because I think that's the only thing that's holding him back from real recovery is his status as the top pediatric surgeon, which will come crumbling down as soon as someone knows that he's had an addiction and was in rehab. Cade said she'll lie from and not tell Voss or Hawkins, but how is she going to explain them? Because it's not just gonna be like a day or two. This is like a couple month long process. How's she going to explain that absence?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
He's on a 2-month-long conference.
Apparently. And we probably won't get much on this storyline for a while because of that. Because it will be a couple months of recovery, of rehab, of going out of rehab, doing outpatient rehab after that.
Unless they do another time jump and we see him next episode and he's all good.
No more time jumps. We're like 2 years in the future since we did the last time jump with all the mini time jumps they keep doing.
Right, like Padma's pregnancy went by like so fast. Like we missed the entire pregnancy.
Every woman on the planet wants Padma's pregnancy.
Right?
The
It
rest
was
of us
so
have like the
confusing.
gestational status of an elephant, and Padma gets 2 days. Even though we probably won't get much more on the Ian storyline because of the months of rehab and outpatient rehab and everything that comes with that. Probably not going to hear about that for a while. We are going to continue to get more on Belle's situation, which is nice because we need to have a finalizing of this, especially since the next one is the fall finale. So
The next episode looks crazy, like all around. The bionic woman with the seal ribs. Oh my gosh. Okay, that looks insane.
I
That
know.
was really cool to watch. And they want to document it. Okay.
That seems scary. Like that seems like a not so idea.
Because the second they say they want something documented, something terrible is going to
Mhm.
happen. So
But the
Yeah.
point is, even Belle says, if it's, or Devin said something along the lines of, if the proof is in the recording. So they know that Belle will do well and they want to catch that on video. So they have proof. But maybe not the best way to get proof that he's a good surgeon.
No. And apparently the woman seems like she's a little against Belle.
Mm-hmm.
What she
Once
say?
she hears
Belle's out or I am.
Yeah. And she heard that because it was the Hodad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the preview, you see everyone affirming him, right? And Conrad tells him it's not who he is anymore, but Belle says he's not so sure. And I think the reason is because in this week's episode, he comes up to Conrad and says, I have a little shake. Don't tell Kit. Can you write me a prescription? Which is hearkening back to who Belle used to be when he used to hide his shakes and his tremors. But Conrad says, I will, but you got to see your neurosurgeon. So I think that that's kind of what I wonder how that's definitely going to come into play in the next episode, I think.
Why didn't he go straight to his doctor?
He said she was at a conference.
Yeah, but it kind of like maybe he wasn't telling the truth when he said that.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think the doctor's at a conference. I think he just doesn't want Kit to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't think he
his
wants his doctors to find out either.
Yeah.
I think he can trust Conrad. So he went to Conrad because Conrad's not going to act as if the world is crumbling down. But that's back to Hodad days. So we'll see how that works out. Obviously, the governor did not give up his fight because they took it straight to the media. So that's coming back November 29th. So you will not get a Fox night from us this week. Our weeks are going to look a little bit different now because Grey's is already on their apparently much needed winter break. 6 episodes is real hard to get out. So you just take a break. So we aren't getting an ABC night until February?
Yeah, February.
This will be our second to last Fox night for you. We have tonight and next Sunday, not next Sunday, what is the date? December 4th. Sunday, December 4th, you will get our final Fox night of the year. And then we will not return with Fox night until it returns from its fall finale. Same with our NBC night, which is our One Chicago shows. Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, which we premiere on Tuesdays. December 6th will be our next one of those because that's also their fall finale. So we will be back with them in January, February, somewhere in there. So next week, you guys get a little break and make sure to tune into our Facebook groups. We have 911 Family Fan Club, and we have the Resident Chastain Family Fan Club. Check both of those groups out. We try to be active in there, especially now with the Christmas season coming up. We've got a lot of games we're doing, a lot of this or that, we're doing a fireman competition in our 911 group, along with all of our other firefighter paramedic groups, which there seem to be a lot of those shows that we watch. We're into a new one right now that we will probably be discussing on here at some point. Let's just face it. Every new show that Jeanette and Amanda come out with, this is great, ends up on the podcast in some way, shape, or form.
That's just how it goes.
So you'll hear about that one when it comes up in our podcast. Stay tuned for our One Chicago episode coming at you this Tuesday, and then we will see you again on December 4th. So bye for now.
Bye.
Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.